Welcome everyone, this is Patrick with CHEMchat Radio. For those of you who don't know, I have a slight obsession with quantum physics and the nature of reality as a whole. One thing I've noticed while researching this topic throughout the years is that there are a lot of people who don't have a full understanding of what exactly the 11 dimensions are. And so I thought to myself, why not make a video and simplify each dimension to make it easier to understand. Now, the 11 dimensions are also known as M-theory. And string theory suggests there are 26 dimensions. But I'm just going to be touching on the 11 for right now. And if you all want another video talking about the 26 dimensions, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to research everything and give you all the correct answers on what it is. So hopefully once I'm done, you'll have a better understanding of these dimensions, and this subject isn't left to just theoretical physicists. So let's get started. Now, the first 5 dimensions, including 0, most people who took geometry in school understand and interact with these dimensions on a daily basis. Beyond those 5 is where most people get lost. For this video, I'm just going to assume that no one knows the first 5 dimensions, and I'm going to explain them all. So first we have 0 dimensions. This one is pretty self-explanatory. There are no points to interact with, therefore there is nothing. Nothingness expanding infinitely. If you can comprehend it, because, well, no one can really think of nothing, because while you're thinking of nothing, you're still thinking. Anyway, next, we have the first dimension, is a single line. Normally this line is associated with, or known as, the x-axis, or width. In this dimension, everything that exists can only exist on this line and nowhere else. All matter and everything is on this line, expanding for eternity. The second dimension, matter has more options where it can move more freely. This time, matter has access to the y-axis, or height. Like a grid on a piece of paper, a point can move anywhere only on this surface. Existence would be restricted to a background with scenery and a stick figure moving along with it. If that stick figure was met with another stick figure, to get on the other side of the stick figure, they would have to step over instead of going around, because there's no depth to it. Think of Super Mario Brothers on the NES. That would be a perfect way of describing it. The third dimension is the most known, because that is the world that we live in. So from 2D, we have height and width. This time around, one more dimension is added, and that is depth. An example would be a cube. The third dimension is also the last physical dimension, where 3 lines define what we know of as matter. So what this means, from this point on, the concept of the dimensions are going to get a little more abstract. It'll start to get a little weirder as we progress in this. Next, we have the fourth dimension, time itself. Time is the rate at which events occur from one point to the next, in order or not. This is the process of decay within 3 dimensions. Next, we have the fifth dimension. This is what I call immediate parallel universes. For example, imagine you wanted to eat some cereal for breakfast, and you have two choices to eat: Cocoa Puffs or Cheerios. Now, let's say you chose Cheerios over Cocoa Puffs. At that moment, a parallel universe was created where instead you chose Cocoa Puffs over Cheerios. This is a world with the same starting condition as ours, but with a slightly different outcome. An alternate timeline, if you will. Just a slight, just a minute little decisions you make would create a different parallel universe. Next, we have the sixth dimension. These are many possible worlds existing in a universe with the same starting conditions as our own, like the Big Bang, for example, just with different timeline outcomes. For example, a possible world where Hitler won World War II, or America never became independent, etc. Next, we have the seventh dimension. This universe has a different starting condition than ours, producing worlds unlike ours, but they follow the same laws of physics. Next, we will have the eighth dimensions. In this dimension, all possible worlds exist with different starting conditions other than the Big Bang, with different outcomes branching out infinitely with the same laws of physics we follow. Next, we have the ninth dimension. In this dimension, all possible worlds with different starting conditions exist with different laws of physics from ours, branching out infinitely. This is going to be a little harder to understand because we interact with our own laws of physics, so to think of a different form of laws of physics is going to be a little harder. Like I said, as you go through the dimensions, it gets a little more complicated as you go. Next, we have the 10th dimension. In this dimension, everything that is possible to imagine exists infinitely. Whatever your brain could possibly concept can and does exist, even with different laws of physics. I mean, it gets extremely weird. Almost even more to where it's hard to comprehend this. It's, like I said, these concepts are getting more and more abstract. And finally, we have the 11th dimension. This dimension describes all possibilities and existences that the human mind cannot comprehend. You just can't fathom it. This isn't a dimension that is just mind-blowing. I guess you could say if, the belief in God, how people would say that you cannot comprehend God. Well, this would possibly maybe reside in this dimension. I'm not saying it does or not, but I'm just saying maybe, not sure. Well, I hope everyone was able to understand this, a little bit better. And now, if anyone has any questions on these dimensions, or maybe I didn't explain it well enough, or I might have gotten some information wrong, please let me know. Please let me know. We'll make sure to give you the correct information, and we want to make sure that you understand this. Now, on a side note, if you would, everyone, please keep my best friend and co-host Chris Nobles in prayer or in positive thought. Anything would help. He's kind of going through it right now with custody and whatnot. I'm not going to get into any more detail than that, but just know that, he's going through it, and he could really use the positive thoughts and prayers for him to get past all this. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and share it to everyone else and spread the news. And you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Website, brand new ChemchatRadio.com. Thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed.